Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 205. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can join on the conversation with us live. Drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so you join on the fun and conversation. But if you can't catch live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services. That very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, wherever you're watching or listening to this program, if you could drop a follow, a sub, a review, whatever it is, it may seem small, but does help the channel grow, and we would love and appreciate you for it. So, today, what are we talking about for our topics? We're going to be talking some games, we're going to be talking some movies, and the first topic we're talking about today, something I have been slacking on wholeheartedly, is Final Fantasy VII. As of recording, Rebirth, so the second part of the Final Fantasy VII remake, is coming out on Leap Day, so about 10 days away from now. And yeah, I have finally jumped into Final Fantasy VII Original again. Now, for those of you guys who have been on the road for a while now, you may know that me and Final Fantasy VII have not really jived over the years. In a way, it's been interesting now that I've gotten older, but I've never fully clicked with it, connected with it, played it all the way through. It was, oh boy, as a child, maybe 5th grade, 6th grade, I don't remember. I was able to borrow a copy from a friend. They recommended it because I really enjoyed what I had played of Final Fantasy X and similar games, and they said, give this a try. Tried it out, and being, I don't know, the dumb kid I was, it didn't really connect with me, and the graphics were a big hang up for me of like, I don't know, it's just this 3D dude running around a 2D image. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I get the turn-based system fighting. Yeah, that's familiar to me, but nothing really clicked. I think I made it I definitely made it past the bombing run of the first one, of the first reactor, but I don't think I made it much farther than that. I do remember free running around a town a little bit, but I wouldn't say it was, anywhere near like the Honeybee Club or anything like that. So I never made it really far, and I hadn't played it since. And then FF7 Remake came out, and granted, I was happy for all those people that are big diehard fans of Final Fantasy VII. It looked fantastic, and I always enjoyed Cloud and thought he was cool from my experience. Well, at least where I was like, ooh, he's really cool. Kingdom Hearts, obviously making his appearance in the first one and coming back in the second one. That was more my connection with him, along with Smash Bros. Down the line. So I enjoyed him as a character, but didn't know much about his backstory, and how he was dealing with Sephiroth and what Barrett and Aerith and Tifa had to do with him, along with the other members of the crew that he would meet along the way. Had no idea about them or what their backstories were. So when Final Fantasy VII Remake eventually came out, I decided to jump into it. There were some things that were changing with the gameplay. Still semi-turn-based, but a little bit more, I guess, free roam in terms of the attacking. It's been a little while since I've played Remake, so I can't remember it verbatim, so I do apologize for not being more knowledgeable on that. But they changed it up a little bit. Obviously, the graphics were way higher fidelity, and environments were fleshed out, and with them breaking up the remake and not just being the whole entire game and making it just this Midgar section, they were able to expand on the characters. So you kind of had your groups, members of Avalanche, Jesse, Wedge, and it's something with a B. I don't think it's Biggs, but it might be. You had these three that you kind of expanded a little bit more on, got a little bit more backstory with them, some interactions were expanded on, and I had played that, and ages ago I talked to Uber Brent, shout out to him, on this very podcast, because he was a big fan of Final Fantasy VII. He had a lot of knowledge and experience with it, and we were kind of talking about the differences. I think this might have been before I played it, I don't recall, but we were talking about the differences of someone who has gone through the experience of the original going into the remake, and someone who was experiencing kind of this for the first time. We were going to do this follow-up. I was going to play the games, this, that, the other thing. Someone didn't keep up their end of the bargain. And I had played it, I played the remake through, I believe we met Aerith, and it was a little bit after that. I think we were dealing with one of the Turks. It's a red-headed gentleman, which I don't recall his name. But I believe that's where I stopped in the remake. Now, since then, with Rebirth coming out and kind of hearing some conversations from some other podcast hosts that I listen to talking about it a little bit, I got intrigued to jump back into the original. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while, just because, like I said, everybody really holds this in high regards in terms of the Final Fantasies. I know there's plenty of others that are very good. I know there's a big community for 14. 15's got its fans. Obviously, 16 just came out. 8 has a lot of people that gun for that one. 10 and 10 2 have a soft spot in people's hearts, but 7 seems to be like the standout or like this big cult favorite. So I knew eventually I wanted to at least give it a second chance, not see it through the eyes of a kid of like, yeah, just get past the graphics and focus on the story that they're telling here. So I wanted to give it a try. So yeah, with hearing recent conversations about it, I was like, you know what? Let's jump into it. I kind of want something of that nature with a good story. And RTS, I haven't played many of those in a while, so I figured to give it a try. And I'm really enjoying it. Now, we're going into this conversation. If obviously you don't want any spoilers of FF7, which, you know, it's old, so maybe you don't care. Here's your time to leave and come back. But diving into this, I have played it. I have not played it all the way through. I have played a decent chunk of FF7, and I'll probably come back to this conversation or this topic rather down the line. Either one when I finish FF7 OG or perhaps when I finish Remake as well, kind of talk about the differences, the things of that nature. Obviously late to the party as compared to everybody else, but still, it might be a fun conversation, like I said, for somebody experiencing all of this for the first time to be like, what is going on? But I wanted to at least talk about my experiences so far. So for those of you guys who have played it, I am, oh boy, I think about 6 hours in. Shout out to the Portal. This is where I've been playing it mostly, and it's a grand old time. I think I'm about 6 hours in. I could be a little farther, but I'm out of Midgar. I am past the little Sephiroth Cloud Past part, which I'll get back to, and I'm about to acquire a chocobo to ride across the marsh to hunt down Sephiroth. I got to this point and found out, like, okay, you know, one, I didn't have the money, so I needed to save up some money for the chocobo. There's some lure, that's what it is. That's how you get the chocobos to arrive, so you can get a wild one. I needed some money for that. I had bought a bunch of stuff to upgrade the heroes that we had, the characters, and didn't leave myself enough. So I'm kind of in the grassy fields there, just grinding out levels right now. Not that I need it, but I'm like, you know what, it might not be a bad idea to take advantage of this, and to get that money, the gil up. So that's where I'm at. So now circling back to FF7 Remake for a second, I kind of, once I got to that point, I kind of got a little sad of like, wow, I kind of was almost done with 7 Remake. Like, I still had a bit to go. There's a little bit after the Aerith section, going to the second reactor, doing all of that stuff. You know, I was closer to the end than I anticipated. Now, granted, they've added a lot of content to 7 Remake. Maybe I'm not as close as I kind of am anticipating from looking from the original's lens over to the new one. Maybe there is a lot more additional content there. But it was sad of just like, when I go to revisit it, it's like, obviously you're going through the same steps. There are going to be things that are different, as Brent had alluded to back in the day, in certain reactions that you see with Sephiroth, or the flashbacks, the memories, the shadow beasts, or whatever the hell they were. There's new things to experience there. It's just like, oh, I was almost at the tail end, or I was like I was past that halfway point where I should have pushed through, not in a negative connotation, but like I should have seen it to the end. So that was just like, oh, okay, I was almost done with that. But playing the original, now for the most part, I knew what to expect. I knew, obviously, from playing Remake that we were going to go through. We're going to go to the Mako reactor. We're going to blow that up, or rather attempt to blow that up. Avalanche is going against Shinra. Shinra is destroying the planet by sucking out this Mako energy and doing it too much, and it's affecting the planet. And Avalanche, the small group, is like rebelling against them to try and help. So I knew we were going to do that. I knew eventually we were going to have to cross-dress. I know Cloud has to like sneak into, was it Don something's base. So I knew that was a whole thing that we were going to have to set up. I just didn't know the full details of it. And then the big thing, which obviously I still haven't reached in original, but I knew there was some connection between, and some connection. I knew Sephiroth was going to do something bad to one of our friends. Maybe I'll leave it at that, if you don't know. I knew there was going to be some consequences for Sephiroth being evil. Oh, duh. I knew we were going to get to that point at some point. I have not gotten there yet, but I've seen where now with the story beats that I've finally learned where this is connecting and why Sephiroth is such a big deal. He's not just a dude with a really long sword for some reason. Like, he's part of this ancient society. I guess you could call them aliens. I don't know. Maybe I'm misspeaking there. But it's a species that's like connected to the planet, and he's just learned this from where I am. And I think this is actually where the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo goes with this flashback, if I heard correctly. So with the Nibelheim stuff, him learning his past, then he goes evil and kind of revolts himself against Shinra. You get that backstory with him and Cloud of that tension, and now learning what Aerith is, and Aerith actually being an ancient. It's like, oh, I didn't realize she was that, not powerful, but like that important in scale as well. I thought just like, oh, she's a cute girl in here. Maybe it's a love interest for Cloud. Things happen, and then Cloud's like, rah, and gets angry, and then it was a whole revenge story. I don't know. That's what my original thought going into this was. But it seems like it's going to be a bigger thing with just these two ancient beings and learning more about that. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I will say there are a few things that I know get kind of fleshed out, or rather fixed or adjusted in Remake, so I'm not getting too hung up on it. I mentioned it's turn-based, so each character and an enemy has like a timer that clicks down. Once it gets to the end, you can do your action, whether it's attacking, magic, using an item, whatever it may be. You could do that, pick your enemy, and then you can do your action. Totally fine. I'm not a big fan of the timer because I find there's things occasionally where you're just standing there and the enemy's not doing anything and you're not doing anything. It's like, this is stupid. I kind of just like how it's turn order. Like, this person goes because of speed, then this, then this, then this. Just goes this way. There's no lulls in between. There's no awkward waiting. So that's one hang up. I'm like, sometimes the timers get that way. It's not every battle, thank God. It's just once in a while where you're just kind of like going, you know exactly what you're going to do. You get in that rhythm of yourself of like, okay, I'm attacking here, I'm using this magic here, whatever it is. That can sometimes be a hang up, I've noticed when playing. And then because the characters are moving around doing their actions, when you're trying to target people, it's so finicky of trying to pick who out of your three enemies you want to attack. And I've had it a few times where either my person runs into an attack or the enemy runs to me and does an attack. And because they're right next to each other, the toggle, whether it's up, down, left, right, whatever it is, you hit it expecting to go to the next enemy, and you go to your partner, and you're smacking them on the next turn. It's like, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Thank God, it's not that much damage, but it's like, oof, there could be some trouble afoot if something really bad happened and you were due to critical or some special move or whatever, just wasted it all on your ally. In terms of difficulty, I felt like I died a lot more as a kid. Dumb kid, not knowing what to do. This time I haven't had much. I've had a couple close calls where, it's just the tenseness of the boss battle where you get real low, but usually the next attack is the one to finish off the boss. I think my most stressful boss fight so far has been the elevators leaving the second reactor, or rather not the second reactor, the Shinra headquarters, because the second elevator has the boss on it. You have to use ranged attacks for them, and at least the team composition that I had at the time of Aerith, Barrett, and Red 13. Red 13 couldn't do shit. He couldn't attack unless it was his limit. Barrett, thank God, has a gun for a hand, so he could shoot. And Aerith, I just had doing magic the whole time. But if I hadn't prepared, obviously, Aerith with materia, which they really prompt you ahead of that battle. Thank God I did at least a little bit of mixing up. Yeah, that battle would have went sideways real fast with that turret shooting at me. So that was probably the most stressful of the fights. Seeing what Sephiroth can do in the flashbacks, I'm really scared to fight him down the line. Sorry, alluding back to Kingdom Hearts. Obviously, he's a very tough person to beat. So seeing him just whop out 3,000 damage with a slash, it's like, okay, all right, I got the training wheels on. We need to we need to put some work in here. Yeah, for teams, the teammates, Barrett and Tifa and Aerith and Red 13, at least what I have right now, nobody's fell really by the wayside. Obviously, Red 13's more new to me, so he's somebody I have to mess around with a little bit more. But knowing at least some of the other teammates, I'm curious how this composition is going to evolve over time. I think right now I'm favoring the 4, but once again, Red 13's kind of new. I think I would go Aerith over Tifa just in terms of team composition because they get the magic ability in there. Not that you can't give magic to any of them, but that's at least where I'm going right now. But yeah, I'm interested to see, like, what does a Vincent have to offer? What does Sid have to offer? I think Yuffie's in there. Yeah, that makes sense. See what they bring to the table, what kind of attacks they deal out or dish out. Haven't gotten any summons yet. I don't know if I've missed something because they do have the summons in Remake that you can use. I have talked to a lot of people, but I'm sure there's certainly things I missed. Yeah, been having a good time with it. Looking forward to playing more of it, jumping into it. Hopefully I haven't hit a wall. So I was feeling that Saturday when I was playing it, or was it Sunday? No, it was Sunday, excuse me. When I was playing it, and it could have just been because, like, it was a long session of playing, but I got to a point with where I'm at right now with the chocobos, and I'm like, the grind, it's nice. I probably should do it, but I'm like, do I want to do this? I don't have to. It's just my dumb thing of, like, it'd be a good idea to do it. I might just be setting up this hang up for myself. It's just like, I don't want to disengage from it and then have another situation like other games like we've talked about where it's like, oh, I'm really into something, and then next shiny thing comes down the line, because I have been kind of dabbling a little bit here and there in some other games too that are really intriguing. So I'm going to try my best to stay focused with FF7 OG because I do want to talk about that and then jump into Remake and really see what people have been really excited for and interested in with obviously the original, because like I said, once again, the cult following, but seeing those differences in the story, see what they are trying to tell in this remake, if things are different or if they're just elaborating on it, if there's a grander story. And yeah, I don't know if I'll jump into Rebirth on Leap Day. I'll probably wait a little bit. But yeah, they look great and they're very fun. I will admit that, jumping into it now. I've been enjoying my time with it heavily. And I know there's some people probably listening who are like, oh my God, he's finally to play it. We can talk about it. So, of course we can get to that when we finally wrap these up. But just wanted to gush about it a little bit. If you guys are looking forward to Rebirth, let me know. And yeah, we'll keep talking about FF7 as we get closer to completing it. But yeah. Let's move on to topic 2. Let's talk some movies. This is the point where Bret was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about this week. And then the radio came down to help me. So yeah, I was thinking about it. Obviously what to talk about. And I've been thinking about games lately. I know we're talking about movies. Hold on. You're like, wait, you just talked about a video game for almost a half hour. You chill out there. I've been thinking like, okay, I want to finish more of the games that I have. So I'm probably not going to play, or rather get any new games, many new games this year. I'm going to try and be better on that. And I was like, trying to think of what games I was even looking forward to this year, and we've had a whole topic about it. I'm like, yeah, there's a few. And then I flipped it over to the other side, thinking, or hearing it on the radio, like, what about movies? What movies am I looking forward to this year? And to be honest, I don't know what's coming out. I know there's one, Deadpool and Wolverine. That's probably, well, it is the only MCU movie coming out this year, which I know we talked about Burnout a few episodes ago. I understand. This got me excited, so that's a good thing. So I was like, that's really the only movie I can think that's coming out. Then I'm like, yeah. So I wanted to look through the list of releases that are coming out this year, see what stuck out to me, see what's calling out to me, talk about them a little bit, and see if there's more out there than obviously I'm anticipating. So January, there wasn't a lot to offer. I don't think I saw any of these. No, well, I don't think. I definitely didn't see all of these. I think there was one towards the end of the month. Oh, no, I'm mistaken. It was at the beginning of February. That I was a little bit intrigued by. I saw a few ads for Argyle, which is, it's a spy action comedy film. I guess what the premise is, and I don't know if this is a remake or a redo, but it's an author, and apparently she's a fiction author, and apparently what she writes is actually going on, or like reflecting a spy that's going around doing these missions and whatever. And she's on this train, and she's like getting hunted down by people because she's telling this story, predicting it right. So they kind of want to get her to, I guess, be defensive or whatever, or not put all this out there. But I was kind of intrigued with that. Like I said, it seemed action oriented, obviously, but it seems like the person out of their element, and that kind of, well, it's a comedy as well, that comedy aspect of like, I don't belong here, what do I do? Just that panic, chicken with their head cut off type action for that person running around. So I might give that a try. I don't know if it's still in theaters, obviously being the beginning of February, but I might check that out once it comes out to streaming services or whatever. Let's see. Madam Web, we alluded to pre-podcast. I will be going to see this. Going to see it this week. We're going to be talking about next week's podcast. So if you're interested, you know, we'll be there. I'm intrigued because, well, Marvel stuff. Once again, I know we talked about Burnout. I don't know much about these characters. I know Madam Web was in the 90s animated Spider-Man cartoon. I know she was an old lady in this one, and she is obviously not an old lady in this one, with Dakota Johnson being her. I have no idea what her story is. I know Sony's doing these with, you know, Kraven. Obviously, Venom's been the more forefront. But they're doing this with the Spider-Man characters because they have the rights, and then they got the little deal with Disney, so they can't do mainline Spider-Man. So they're trying to, you know, make money where they can, try these characters out. And it's been, you know, mixed reviews. Morbius. I know Venom's a hit or miss on people. Some of it's good, some of it's not. So this one's interesting just to see if and how they fumble the ball. We're getting 4 Spider Ladies, Spider Women in this. You have Madam Web. You have one that has kind of like what Peter has in his Iron Spider. There's a black and white suit, which I know, I don't know. I think it's just a Spider Woman, but I don't know. I remember having an action figure of her, and I think there's one other. But I'm kind of intrigued to see what's going on here. I think they have Uncle Ben in here, which is a little weird. But yeah, it's more of a morbid curiosity, which I don't know if is the proper phrase. I've just been using it. It's kind of like, how bad is this going to be? So we'll see. I don't know. All right. And continuing to roll into February, I got nothing. So let's check out March. Dune Part 2 comes out on the 1st. Haven't seen Part 1. Don't know if I'm interested in it. I've heard a lot of people are, you know, think highly of it and really enjoy it. I don't know, just wasn't anything on my radar of like, yeah, that looks really cool. You got Arthur the King, which is Mark Wahlberg's running some marathon with a stray dog. I think I saw that whole movie in the trailer that they have. All right. You got the new Ghostbusters, which shout out to Jeff Regg. I know he's really looking forward to. Kind of this reboot / sequel to Afterlife. I heard good things about Afterlife. I wanted to check it out. I still haven't checked it out. So this is another one, like, obviously because I haven't seen the other one, I'm like, yeah, on the interest for it. But I'm glad people are enjoying them. Obviously, that mix of the new cast and the old cast is a fun combination. But yeah, it's something I haven't delved into, so it's not like on my radar, I guess you could say. Rolling into April. What? There's a Woody Woodpecker movie? Oh, well, that's interesting. Didn't know that. Rebel Moon's getting part 2, which is like Zack Snyder's Star Wars, from what I heard. Sorry about the ding there. There's one on here which I haven't seen yet, and I'm hoping I haven't seen yet. It's got John Cena in it. Oh, here it is. It's it. Nope. Sorry, this is the other movie I was looking forward to. My bad. The one I'm talking about with John Cena, he's like, he fills in for friends like lying to their partners. And they just, whenever they do, they lie. They go to like party and just have like a guy's weekend. And then something happens and they need an actual person to play this character. So they hire Cena, who's like a stripper, I think. And it just goes off the rails. I don't think I've seen it yet. All right, so let me backtrack before we get too far. So in May, this was one I was actually, the trailer in the theater won me over with this one. I can't tell you where I saw it. But The Fall Guy with, what's his name? Ryan Gosling. Ken. Who could forget? But the stuntman who goes looking after an actor and then just falls into, like a missing actor, falls into this big, big whole unraveling of underground like shadiness, and he has to deal with it and escape from it. It looked interesting. It's got that comedy that Ryan Gosling's kind of carrying over from his past works, so I'm enjoying that. I enjoy his portrayal of like that dumb idiot with a golden heart type thing, so interested in that. I think that's May 3rd. You got another Planet of the Apes. I enjoyed the reboot so far, but I feel like I've kind of fallen off. But I might check that one out. There's another Mad Max. Haven't gotten into any of those. There's a Garfield movie. Oh, yeah, with Chris Pratt. It looks adorable. I don't know if I'll go see it. All right, heading into June. Okay, if we're going to go into the cartoons or talk about the cartoons, Inside Out 2. This one looks funny. Inside Out 1, obviously very, very good, talking about the emotions in your head, and obviously going through, what was the girl's name? Riley? I think it's Riley. Her growing up, dealing with, emotions from moving from a new town and going into a new sports team, her dealing with all those issues, but seeing that through the emotions perspective and stuff in her head of her growing up, losing her childhood a little bit. It was a really good story. And with this one, it seems to progress. Obviously, she's still getting older, but introducing anxiety and other emotions in there, and how we could factor with that. So Pixar does a great job with their projects. So excited for that one in June. Quiet Place gets a prequel. Still haven't seen Quiet Place, so whoopsie. We're getting more sequels in July, as we got Despicable Me 4. I can't believe that's still going. No, I'm just kidding. I'm glad people are enjoying the Minions and stuff. Twisters, because we needed more tornadoes. And then we got Deadpool and Wolverine, as we talked about at the beginning. Excited for this one. Excited to see Deadpool, obviously, in the MCU now with the whole Fox purchase. But obviously Deadpool brings a little bit different flair to his comic book movies, obviously being able to break the fourth wall, obviously being a little bit more mature rated with obviously the violence and the language and things like that. So seeing him, and also Hugh Jackman return as Wolverine to be included in the MCU. Seeing that initial trailer with the TVA introduction is very neat. I'm interested to see what the TVA has acquired. Deadpool 4. What the hell is his name? Why am I blanking on it? I don't recall. No, not Ryan Reynolds. That's the actor's name. Wade Wilson. Thanks. Seeing what they want him there for, because usually the TVA has only, to our knowledge, messed around with variants. So it's interesting. Obviously, superhero fans, the theories are going ape shit with the trailer of like, oh my god, he's in Avengers 2 Age of Ultron fight. He's in I forgot the other area, but like we got a Secret Wars comic on the ground. He's fighting something in front of the old Fox 20th Century logo. Apparently, there's rumors Daniel Radcliffe's going to be patched like Wolverine's like doppelganger. I don't fucking know. There's a lot out there. Obviously, also cameos out the wazoo have been rumored for this project. I don't know if even a few of them will make an appearance, but I'm interested for the ride. I think it, like it said, it provides that different energy compared to other Marvel projects. So to now be in the canon of the main line, it's going to be interesting. I don't know how far they're going to take it. If like, obviously he'll be in like a Secret Wars, granted the multiverse thing, like, I don't know how far this is going to go. If this is just going to be a one and done, like, hey, he was here, this is great. I'm just excited for the ride. And to see that teamwork of, Wade with the goofiness and Deadpool, and then Wolverine obviously being the more aggressive, just don't take shit type of hero. It's going to be a fun dynamic. Heading into August, is this movie even still a thing? Borderlands. Obviously based off the video game franchise from Gearbox and 2K. I hope it's still happening. I'm kind of intrigued to see what's going on. We got Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Jack Black in there. I think this is a retelling of the first game. Maybe not point for point, obviously, but having those characters. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes. I just hope it's still coming out and it's still a thing, because we haven't gotten, at least I don't think we've heard a peep from it in a long time. Definitely don't have a trailer, so we'll see. But who knows? Kraven the Hunter might be another one of morbid curiosity to go see how this man got bit by a lion and now has powers. Also might have got delayed, I don't recall. Beetlejuice gets its sequel with Beetlejuice. I haven't seen the first one because it freaked me out as a kid, probably. Probably should watch that. Transformers gets another sequel. Didn't know about that one. Saw. Why is Saw get another sequel? Saw 11? Jesus Christ. Heading in October, Joker gets its sequel, with Lady Gaga being Harley Quinn. Joker was good. Twisted, but good. I'll definitely be going to see that one. See the, progression of that story. See more of that universe built upon. I don't think it's going to connect to the Batman, but cool to see it from a villain's perspective. Venom 3. Didn't know this was a thing. Comes out in November. Okie dokie. Yeah, I didn't. Man, I'm really out of the loop with some of these things. How did I not know that was a thing? What are they dealing with? They had Carnage. What? I don't know. He had his chance to cross over. They kind of backpedaled on that with the MCU stuff, so I think he's just staying in his lane. Moana 2. Don't know much about it because it just got announced. But maybe by the time it rolls around, we'll go into that. So, Lord of the Rings movie? Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim? Upcoming animated fantasy film. Directed by Kenji Kamiyama from a screenplay by Phoebe Gittins and Artie, Papa Giorgio? Is that Papa Giorgio? I am so sorry if I mispronounced your name. Based on a story told in the appendices of the novel Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Okay, yep. Another Karate Kid. This is December, by the way. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Still haven't watched the first two. I actually heard they were decent after they fixed Sonic and how he looked originally. So I probably should give this a try. We're getting Shadow, it looks like. Mufasa, the Lion King. I guess we're going to talk about Mufasa, not Simba. Interesting. And that's it. So there's a few out there. I'm going to try and scroll back and see if I can find that John Cena movie, because that one did look funny and I do want to give it a shout out. But yeah, so there's a few out there. Definitely a lot that I was not anticipating / expecting with in terms of sequels. So yeah, hopefully they can, find their audience and it's not just, the cash grab. Obviously, there's a lot more out there that I did not read that you guys should definitely check out. Obviously, horror films are not my forte, so those aren't really going to be talked about. But there do seem to be a lot more, or rather, there are a lot of other original stories that are being told here. It's not just all sequels. Just going off of names, these are the ones that called out to me. Okay, the Cena movie comes out in March. It's called Ricky Stenicki. Plot. Ricky Stenicki is the name of an imaginary character invented by 3 longtime friends as someone to blame for their misbehavior over the past 2 decades. When their partners become suspicious and demand to meet Stenicki, they decide to hire a washed-up actor to bring the character to life. It seems like just outrageous fun. It's got Zac Efron in it. Obviously, it's got Cena in it. I don't recognize these other actors. Jermaine Fowler, Andrew Santino, Lex Scott Davis, and William H. Macy. Okay, I know that name. But yeah, it just seems like a fun time. Oh no, is it not in theaters? It's coming to Prime. I hope it comes in theaters. I'm gonna be pissed. Looks like a goofy fun time. Just something, you can laugh out like a Horrible Bosses or something along those lines. So wacky, zany, entertaining. That's all you can ask for. But yeah, guys, it's been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma 9011. Thanks for hanging out today. Hope you guys enjoyed the Final Fantasy VII talk. Hope you guys enjoyed the movie talk. Let me know what kind of movies you're looking forward to in 2024. What's got your attention? We'll definitely be back to follow up on Final Fantasy VII once I do finish the games, talk about what's going on there, and maybe jump into Rebirth eventually. But I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast today. If you guys ever want to catch it live, you can always go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so you join in on the fun and conversation. But if you can't catch live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services. The very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, wherever you're listening to or watching this, if you drop a follow, drop a sub. It may seem small, but it does help the channel grow. So if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. Appreciate everybody hanging out today for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.